Unit 8. What are you reading? Vocabulary.
Hi kids, I'm Renee. It's so nice to see you again in today's vocabulary lesson of English Grade 5. Do you like reading stories? I'm sure a lot of you will say yes. Today I will show you 7 interesting kinds of stories. Let's see what they are. Fairy tale, myth, ghost story, fable, detective story, comics, and funny story. Are you ready? Let's go! Fairy tale. When I was a small child, I loved to read Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Do you know what kind of story this is? We call it a fairy tale. A fairy tale is a story for children about imaginary characters and magic. Listen. Fairy tale, fairy tale, fairy tale. There are lots of fairy tales for kids. For example, the story of Tom and Cam, Cinderella, or Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Mary loves beautiful princesses in fairy tales, so she collects their pictures and keeps them in a notebook. Do you like fairy tales? What's your favorite fairy tale? Myth. Kids, do you know these stories? They are the story of Mayantiam and the story of Tangzam. We call these stories myths. A myth is an ancient story that explains the early history of people or natural events. Now let's say the word. Myth, 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 M-Y-T-H, myth. Nam is reading The Legend of Sword Lake. Lan's favorite myth is Something and Tweeting. Ghost story. Oh, how scary this story is! It's about a ghost. Do you know it? A ghost is the spirit of a dead person that a living person believes they can see or hear. A frightening story about ghosts is called a ghost story. Ghost story. Ghost story. Ghost story. Have you ever read a ghost story? Last Halloween, Tom went to his friend's house. They decided to read a ghost story in the dark. Suddenly, something in white appeared in front of them. They were so scared, and they turned on the light. And what they saw was a cute little white cat. Fable. There is a kind of story that teaches us what is good or not good to do. There are usually animals in these stories. We call them fables. Listen. Fable. Fable. F-A-B-L-E. Fable. The fable that I like most is The Tortoise and the Hare. Last night, Linda's father read the fable, The Fox and the Crow, to her before bed. Detective story. Kids, look at this picture. Do you know who he is? Right! He's Jimmy Kudo, the main character in the detective story, Case Closed. So, what's a detective story? A detective story is a story in which there is a murder or another crime and a detective who tries to solve it. Let's say the word together. Detective story. Detective story. Detective story. Tom loves reading, especially detective stories. He wants to become a detective story writer in the future. Comic. Here comes the kind of story that I'm sure most of you love. It's a comic. A comic tells stories through pictures. Doraemon is one of the comics that the children like most. Listen. Comic. Comic. C-O-M-I-C. Comic. At break time, Linda doesn't play games with her friends. She always stays in the classroom and reads comics. What about you? Do you often read comics? Funny story. Peter, it looks like you're having a lot of fun. What are you doing?
I'm reading a funny story. It's so interesting.
Ah, I see. Kids, do you know what a funny story is? It's the story written to make you laugh and feel relaxed. Let's say the words together. Funny story. Funny story. Funny story. I really love reading funny stories. I often read funny stories in my free time at work. If you want to relax after a day at school, reading a funny story wouldn't be a bad idea. All right, we've learned 7 kinds of stories in today's lesson. I hope you've had a fun time. Let's review what we've learned. Fairy tale, myth, ghost story, fable, detective story, comics, and funny story. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. See you in the next lesson.
Unit 8. What are you reading? Vocabulary.
Hi kids, I'm Nick. Welcome to the new vocabulary lesson for English grade 5. In the last video, you learned 7 interesting kinds of stories. Today, we have some more words about people in stories. Let's see what they are. Character, fairy godmother, king and queen, prince and princess, enemy. Are you ready? Let's go! Character. Now comes the first word. Character. A character is a person or an animal in a story, a book, or a movie. Thumb is a major character in the fairy tale, The Story of Thumb and Gum. I read a lot of Vietnamese stories, and I know many characters, but the character that I like most is My Anh Tiem. Now let's say the word together. Character. Character. It's spelled C-H-A-R-A-C-T-E-R. Character. Mary often sticks the pictures of Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and other cartoon characters in a notebook. Fairy godmother. Do you know the person that has magic and often helps someone when they are in need? Let me show you a picture. That's a fairy godmother. A fairy godmother is a magical character in children's stories who often helps people in trouble. Listen. Fairy godmother. Fairy godmother. Fairy godmother. In the story Cinderella, there was a fairy godmother who used her magic to help Cinderella go to a party. King and Queen. Wow! What a magnificent castle! That's the king. He's wearing a crown on his head. He looks so powerful. The king is the male ruler of a country. Let's say the word king. King. It's spelled K-I-N-G. King. Do you see the woman who is standing next to the king? She's the king's wife. We call her the queen. 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 It's spelled Q-U-E-E-N. Queen. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, the king and the queen were blessed with two lovely children, Prince and Princess. We call the son of the king and queen the prince. 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 It's spelled P-R-I-N-C-E. Prince. And we call the daughter of the king and queen the princess. 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 It's spelled P-R-I-N-C-E-S-S. Princess. Do you know the story of Sleeping Beauty? In Sleeping Beauty, the princess was under a spell, so she fell asleep for 100 years. One day, a handsome prince came to the castle. He saw the princess and woke her up with a kiss. Enemy. Now comes the last person who often appears in stories, but they are not good people. They hate the major characters and often try to hurt them. They can also be a country that is at war with another country. Can you guess who they are? Right, we call them enemy. Listen, enemy. Enemy. It's spelled E-N-E-M-Y. Enemy. In the story of Tang Zhang, he rode a horse and used bamboo to fight against the enemy. Alright, we've learned some kinds of people who often appear in stories in today's lesson. I hope you've had a great time. Let's review what we've learned. Fairy godmother. King and queen. Prince and princess. Enemy. We call all of them characters. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching and see you in the next lesson.
Unit 8. What are you reading? Vocabulary.
Hi kids, I'm Renee. Welcome to the new vocabulary lesson of English Grade 5. In the previous lessons, you learned about kinds of stories and characters in stories. Today, we'll learn adjectives to describe the characters. Let's see what they are. Kind, hardworking, clever, gentle, generous, brave. Are you ready? Let's get started. Kind. Let's see the first adjective. Kind. Kind means being friendly. If someone is kind, they care about others a lot. They are helpful too. Do you know any characters who are kind? There are fairy godmothers who often help people when they're having difficulties. Now let's say the word together. Kind. 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 It's spelled K-I-N-D. Kind. Cinderella was very beautiful and kind. She often cared about others and brought people around her joy and happiness. Hardworking. Look, that little girl is helping her parents do the housework and cook meals. She's a hardworking girl. When someone is hardworking, it means they always do a lot of work. Let's say the word. Hardworking. 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 What are you reading, Tom?
I'm reading The Story of My Auntie.
What's Antiam like?
He's very hardworking.
Clever. Have you ever read the story, The Fox and the Crow? The fox wanted the meat in the beak of the crow. So he asked the crow to sing. The crow opened his beak to sing and dropped the piece of meat. And then the fox ate the meat and ran away. He's very clever, right? Clever. Clever. Clever means having the ability to learn and understand things quickly and easily. Listen and repeat after me. Clever. Clever. It's spelled C-L-E-V-E-R. Clever. Peter's favorite characters are Doraemon and the detective Jimmy Kudu. Both of them are very clever. Gentle. Kids, who's this? Excellent. It's Thumb. What do you think about her? What's she like? I think she's gentle. 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 When someone is gentle, they are very calm, kind, and do everything in a careful way. Let's say the word. Gentle. Gentle. G-E-N-T-L-E. Gentle. Who's kind and gentle in the fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Of course, it's our Snow White. She's a beautiful, gentle princess. Generous. Now comes the next adjective. Generous. If someone is generous, they are giving and helpful. The main character in Aladdin and the Magic Lamp is Aladdin. He is very clever and generous. Listen and repeat after me. Generous. Generous. It's spelled Generous. Generous. Long, long ago, in a kingdom, there lived a prince. He was very kind and generous. He often gave people money, food, and helped the poor. People in the kingdom loved him so much, they called him the generous prince. Brave.
I like detective stories, and my favorite one is Case Closed. Jimmy Kudo is the major character. He often helps the police. He's very clever and brave.
Wow, I think that's a great story. I love the characters who are clever and brave, too. Brave. Brave. Brave means willing to do difficult and dangerous things without fear. Let's say the word together. Brave. Brave. It's spelled B-R-A-V-E. Brave. Among Vietnamese myths, I like to read the story of Thang Dom. It's about a little boy who was very brave. He rode the horse and used bamboo to fight against the enemy. All right, we've learned 6 adjectives to describe characters in today's lesson. I hope you've had a great time. Now let's review what we've learned. Kind. Hardworking. Clever. Gentle. Generous. And brave. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. See you in the next lesson.
Hi kids, I'm Nick. It's so nice to see you again. Before starting today's lesson, come with me to a different place. Can you guess where we are now? Yes, we are in the library. There are so many books here. I love reading books. Oh look, Linda and Mary are in here. They're reading something. I can't see clearly. I want to ask them about what they are reading. Do you want to ask them too? Do you know how to ask? Let me show you in today's lesson. Unit 8. What are you reading? When you want to know about the book or story that someone is reading, you can use the following question. What plus be plus subject plus reading. For example, what are you reading? What are the students reading? What is she reading? To answer this question, we use subject plus be plus reading plus the name of the book or the story. For example, I'm reading Doraemon. They're reading the story of Dam and Gam. Or she's reading Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Kids, there's one thing you need to remember. The first letter of many words in a book or story are normally capital letters. Sometimes articles like a, un, or the, prepositions like in or of, and conjunctions like and or are in lowercase. Like Doraemon, the story of Dam and Gum. Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Now let's ask Linda about what she is reading. Hi Linda, what are you reading?
I'm reading Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Wow! Linda is reading Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's such an interesting story. Have you ever read it? Do you know the characters in this story? How can we ask and answer about their personalities? Let's learn about it in the next part of our lesson. When you want to know about the personalities of a character in a story, you can ask the question, what plus be plus the main character or name, like. For example, what's Snow White like? What are the dwarves like? What's Aladdin like? What about the answer? We use subject plus be plus adjective. For example, she's nice and gentle. They're kind and hardworking. He's smart and generous. Mary is also in the library. Let's watch Mai and Mary talk and review what we've learned in this lesson.
Hi, Mary. It's so nice to see you here.
Yes. I often go to the library every Sunday. I love reading so much.
Me too. What are you reading, Mary? I'm reading Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Wow! Is it nice?
Yes, it is. It's one of my favorite stories.
Who's the main character?
Aladdin.
What's he like?
He's kind and generous.
Wow! That sounds interesting.
That's all for today. I hope you learned a lot. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.
Unit 8. What are you reading? Pronunciation, sentence stress.
Hello, kids. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. In this pronunciation lesson, we continue practicing sentence stress. Are you ready? Let's get started. Firstly, let's take a look at the sentences on the screen. How do you stress these sentences? Let me show you the way to stress them correctly. Now, let's have a look at the first two sentences. Which words do you think we need to stress? Right. We need to stress what and reading in the question. What are you reading? Reading is the information that is mentioned in the question. The Fox and the Crow is the title of the story that is necessary for the answer. However, fox and crow are the most important words, so we should stress these two words the most. I'm reading The Fox and the Crow. Now listen and pay attention to the way I stress these sentences. What are you reading? I'm reading The Fox and the Crow. Again, what are you reading? I'm reading The Fox and the Crow. Now you try.
What are you reading? I'm reading The Fox and the Crow.
Great job! Let's continue practicing the next couple of sentences. Which words do you think we need to stress? Excellent! They are what's, Snow White, and like in the question. What's Snow White like? Kind is the most important word that contains the new information in the answer, so we should stress it clearly. She's kind. Now listen and pay attention to the way I stress these sentences. What's Snow White like? She's kind. One more time. What's Snow White like? She's kind. Now you try.
What's Snow White like? She's kind.
Brilliant! You did so well. Before we come to the end of our lesson today, let's watch a short video and practice with friends in the video. What are you reading, Ling? I'm reading The Fox and the Crow. Is that a fable? Yes, it is. I love fable stories because I can take lots of lessons from them. That sounds interesting. But for me, I love fairy tales. And my favorite story is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Is Snow White the main character? Yes, she is. What's Snow White like? She's kind. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!